This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
Thanks to Athletic Greens, your one-stop shopping for 75 high-quality vitamins to help you start your day right, sponsoring this podcast. Greg, let's start on a somber note. Everybody's talking about it. Damar Hamlin, the Bills defensive back last night, goes down. I'm sure many of you were watching it while it happened. Those that weren't watching at the time, I'm sure you have seen the video and you've been following this story like all of us have over the past 12, 13, 14 hours. And it was a tough scene. Hamlin gets hit. He gets up. He wobbles a little bit, and then he falls straight back. Was not moving on the field. I've just kind of come accustomed to the idea of when somebody's out like that, you immediately think concussion, Greg. What did you think when you saw the hit and kind of everything that happened shortly thereafter?
Yeah, I mean, look, when it immediately happened, you were thinking some sort of concussion, possibly, neck related, something along those lines. But very quickly, I think everyone, and once you saw sort of the reaction of the players on the field, You knew that this was an extremely serious situation. This was something different. And, just by the reaction of the football players, this was something different than a tough injury or something like that. This was someone's life was in the balance on a football field. Unfortunately, it's not the first time this has happened. It's been a while. In 1971, there was a Lions player who passed away on the field during a game. There was another Lions player who needed CPR. I think in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, these things happen. Once you sort of heard about what happened, about how he got up and then fell down, I don't know about you, Nick, but I had immediate thoughts of Hank Gathers, the Loyola Marymount player who collapsed and died on a college basketball court, one of the biggest stars in college basketball at the time. Reggie Lewis, of course, with the Celtics, collapsed during a Celtics practice. And, unfortunately, these things happen in sports, and the game becomes very much secondary. I think it's basically uncharted territory for a lot of people, given that, it's been a long time since it happened in an NFL game. I think that the NFL was trying to do its best last night. I know they're going to get criticized. Everybody loves to criticize everything, and everyone is the greatest armchair quarterback in history. Given hindsight and other things. But I thought the NFL, that, basically what happens really is they defer to the on-field officials who interact with the head coaches. And, from what I understand from some of the people, involved in the game, that, basically the Bengals looked at what the Bills were going through and looked at Sean McDermott and just like, we can't continue. Whatever you guys want to do, like, let's go back to the locker room, assess what's the entire situation. And I think it was pretty quickly apparent to everyone that this game was not going to continue. They just, look, there's no playbook for this. And so no one's going to be perfect. No one's going to handle a situation like this perfect. And I thought at the end of the day, the bottom line is, kudos to the emergency personnel on staff and the NFL's protocols for that. Their trauma, they have extensive testing with, on-field trauma centers, how they deal with these things. I think, those things probably saved Damar Hamlin's life last night on the football field. I think that at the end of the day, I thought it was handled about as well as you could. And, the other thing that I know about this situation is the NFL will continue. And, now we just need to see how that happens.
Yeah, we'll get into how the NFL moves forward here and what some teams have done today. And where we're taping this, we should say, we're taping this at about 10 o'clock my time, 1 o'clock Eastern. So we don't know what's going to happen the remainder of the day. We're talking about Damar Hamlin himself and his condition. He's in critical condition right now as we speak. And of course, if the NFL comes out with anything regarding any games or whatever, we will not be privy to that information. So I just want to kind of put that disclaimer in this. A couple things I would say. Number one, yes, on the first responders and the ability to get to Hamlin as quickly as they did might end up saving this young man's life. He's 24 years old. And if this had happened anywhere else, I don't think he survives, within the next 20 minutes. He, by all accounts, was coding. I mean, they restored his heartbeat on the field. And so just logistically, if that happens to anybody that, are not anywhere close to any kind of emergency personnel and first responders who can give the person the medical treatment that they desperately need within those, seconds to minute, it usually does not end well. So that's no doubt about that. I do think the NFL could have done a little bit better of a job or a better job getting the message out there as soon as possible. I thought, 71 minutes, I think it was, until calling the game was long. I think once you see the reaction of the players and the NFL is fully aware of what's going on, trust me, they were fully aware that this young man coded. They were fully aware that CPR was being administered. And once you get that word, I think it's at that point where you make the necessary phone call to the PA and say, all right, we're going to stop this game right now. We can't continue this game, no matter, because to me, and I tweeted this last night, you can't leave it up to the coaches. You can't leave it up to the players. In this instance, Sean McDermott did what was right for the team and what was humane. And so did Zach Taylor. And I tip my cap to both of those guys, understanding the moment, saying, yeah, we can't do this. But this is Roger Goodell's call. That is what is in the CBA. This is Goodell's call. And yes, he has to make it with the PA. But anybody watching this, look, 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, I get. 71 minutes later does seem like it was a little prolonged to me. And as soon as you see Stephon Diggs crying and Josh Allen crying and Tre'Davious White so emotional, and you are no doubt getting reports from the field if you're the NFL, right? Donna Ponte, who's always there. She was there last night. You are fully aware of what's going on the field. This is not like Roger Goodell was trying to figure out the condition of Damar Hamlin. He knew CPR was being administered. He knew that this young man, his heart stopped. At that moment, you've got to say, okay, here's plan A. Plan A is we're not continuing this game. And I did think the NFL dragged their feet. I would also say the NFL did not do themselves any favors by having the phone call, the conference call last night, because it certainly seemed like there was some damage control being had. There's questioning about the 5-minute warm-up that was told to the teams. Joe Buck spoke with the New York Post this morning, and Buck said, hey, listen, we got that from John Parry, and John Parry was in direct communication with the league office. And the league comes out last night and says, we didn't say anything about a 5-minute warm-up. So there's only a couple of options here. Joe Buck went rogue, which is not happening. Trust me when I tell you, as a media member, Joe Buck intentionally said as less as he could last night, because it's not his role to give you information and guess what's going on. He intentionally gave you just what he could give you in the moment. And so I don't think Joe Buck is going rogue and saying 5-minute warm-up for the guys. John Parry going rogue. Doesn't seem to me like John Parry would go rogue on national television. Somebody had to give that information to Parry. Now, who did he speak to in the league office? All of that stuff, that'll have to get figured out. But it certainly seems like the perception right now is that the NFL did some damage control last night, saying we didn't mention any 5-minute warm-up. It came from the league office, because I don't think anybody on that field is making that decision in that moment. I don't think anybody is clear-headed enough in that moment to make that decision. So that 5-minute warm-up came from somewhere. And that is also just a terrible, terrible decision. Like, there seemed like there was no room for humanity last night. It seemed like there were a lot of people rushing to decisions and trying to figure things out. And at that moment, I just think everybody needed to sit back and say, okay, first and foremost, we have a player who just lost his heartbeat on the field. And
Nick, hang on. I'm gonna interject here. Like, I just disagree. I mean, there is no precedent for this. Look, we have had players backboarded off of games. Ryan Shazier, barely ever walked again. There are players who haven't walked again, who have been taken off on stretchers, with their careers in balance, and they have resumed play. There was a, there are protocols in place, which is basically like, I'm sure they treated this like it was a spinal injury, where it's like, all right, the hospital leaves the field. This is what we do. There's a 5-minute warn up. Then they realize, all right, this is different. This has been 50 years since this happened on a football field. Like, I just don't see the point in, at the end of the day, they did what they were supposed to do. And how it happened, I don't really think it's important, in my opinion. You're free to disagree. I just don't see the point of it. At the end of the day, the play didn't resume. They cleared the field, and now we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, the point of it is that the NFL has this reputation, and I think justifiably deserved, of not caring about the players as much as they could or should. You can go
just like every other league. I mean, it's just like every other business. Business it's big business. Big business. Amazon doesn't care about the people in their factories. Stuffing boxes. Like, I mean, it is what it is at a certain point. And like, I know it's the NFL, and we love to talk about it. It's not a government body. It's a private body that can do whatever they want, and the NFLPA has a say in it. They have a union for these players to protect them, and if they don't do a good enough job, that's on them. Like that, if they wanted more of a say in things like that, they should have held out for more in the CBA. It is the way it is the way that it is, and I just don't understand. I know they're an easy target, but I just don't understand the need for people to always, like, we understand they're the big guy. It's big business. They're the bad guy, but at the end of the day, play didn't resume. The Bills left town. They took care of their teammate, and, all is well. So.
Yeah, I would say Amazon's not on national television, and I would say that, again, I would not compare this to any other injury that's happened on the field unless you're telling me that the person's heart stopped. And Damar Hamlin, literally, according to reports and what others have said, Damar Hamlin died on the field last night. And so I would separate that from Ryan Shazier. I would separate it from any spinal injury. The man, his heartbeat stopped, and his teammates and other players witnessed the man's heartbeat done. They witnessed the CPR given. This was a different kind of urgency. Everybody has said it. Those that have called games, those that have been around these kinds of, situations, this was much different. And I just think once you see that, and once the NFL knows that somebody's heart stopped on the field, it's not a hard decision. I'm sorry. It's not a hard decision. I understand it's big business, and I understand all these other things. But when you hear that a human being's heart has stopped and that they're literally trying to revive this guy in front of players, at that point, you've got to say, as a human being, this can't go on. And so I just thought, 71 minutes was long, but it is what it is. We'll agree to disagree. Let's talk about moving forward now, Greg. So several teams canceled media today, including the Patriots. David Cancer, who is a well-known agent throughout the NFL world, tweeted out that, can the NFL postpone play for 2 or 3 weeks? And then he followed that up quickly and said, well, if you can't do it for 2 or 3 weeks, can we postpone this for at least a week? Before we get into the specifics with the Bills and Patriots, because that to me is an entirely different conversation. Just the league as a whole. No, you know what? Let's start with the Bills and Patriots and the Bills right now, and then we'll go to the bigger picture. Greg, I don't know about you, but I just cannot see the Buffalo Bills playing a football game, I don't know, within the next few days, week. I don't know how you can go through what they went through and then rev up their bodies and minds to get back onto the football field to play a game.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know that, we were going to sort of start there. So I'm sort of speaking on the fly right now. Look, I will say The NFL is going to move forward. And it ain't taking a 2 or 3 week break. I can tell you that much. It's the way these things happen. And that Damar, it would be different if we were talking about the unfortunate that, he passed away on the field. Then you're talking, okay. But, I haven't seen the latest reports. I don't know if they've been updated since late last night about how he was intubated and his vitals are better or something along those lines. But it looks like he's in critical condition, I think is the last report.
Yes.
Look, and I thought Mike Silver did a good job pointing this out today. The Kansas City Chiefs, I think in 2011, had a player, Javon Belcher, drive into their parking lot after murdering his girlfriend and killed himself in front of Scott Pioli and Romeo Canal, and the Chiefs played the next day.
Yep.
This is, I could see, I don't think, I think the Bills are playing at some point this weekend, especially if Hamlin continues to improve. Could it be pushed to Monday? Yeah, that's a possibility. But I'm sure the NFL world is shaken. That was one of my first thoughts, that I'm sure there are a lot of difficult conversations going on, but these guys know what they signed up for. I mean, this permeates their sort of bubble, their warrior-like bubble, where they don't think about it, but they know every time they make a hit, their life's in danger. This is the game of football. It happens in hockey as well, and other contact sports. I think that very quickly here, probably by tonight, we will start to hear plans that the NFL has. The NFL is going to happen. I do not see them. Now it gets into what's the best case scenario, for everybody involved. I think they go on and play this weekend's games. It's possible that the Bills get pushed back to Monday or Tuesday, possibly with what they're dealing with. But again, it's Tuesday right now. Sunday is a ways away. Monday's even further away, and things that this is not even 24 hours afterwards. Everybody's raw. Everybody sort of, how do I term this? Just, I don't want to say overreact, because it's not overreact. I mean, we haven't seen that on a football field, but they're just emotional right now. In 48 hours, things could look a lot different, and. I would expect the NFL by tonight or at the latest tomorrow morning to have a concrete plan going forward. I think the easiest thing is to play this weekend's games, possibly move back the Bills game to Monday, and then see what happens. There's a scenario where you might not need to play Bengals-Bills again. That is, I did a column on it last night. So that is if the Chiefs and the Bengals lose this weekend and the Bills beat the Patriots, the AFC's top 3 seeds are locked in. There's no changing it, even if the Bengals beat the Bills because of certain head-to-head tiebreakers like the Bills over the Chiefs. I think it's play this weekend's games, see what happens, and then it's either you play Bills, Bengals, you sort of delay the playoffs by the week, eat into the Super Bowl bye week, which I am in favor of. They did it after September 11th. They have a lot of practice with, moving things around during the COVID year, where you could say we're going to play, Buffalo, Cincinnati on, like a Thursday, and then you're moving. If the Bills have a bye, you're moving the Bengals wild card game to Tuesday, that sort of thing. That's the type of thing that they did during COVID. So it's not that they don't have any experience doing that. But to me, I would be highly surprised if there is no football this weekend. I would say the only thing that I see them doing is possibly moving the Bills-Patriots game to Monday night.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. The reaction of the players throughout this week, like you said, obviously it's a very tough situation health-wise for Damar Hamlin right now. And we certainly hope that he recovers and is able to turn this thing around and be relatively healthy for the rest of his life. But I do think a lot depends on what happens here in the next 48 hours. If there's a situation where things are kind of stagnant, or, hopefully, God forbid this doesn't happen, or gets worse in any kind of way, I don't think the league can turn around and ask the Bills to play this week. I think it'll depend. And the Kansas City Chiefs thing is certainly an interesting, comparison and how it was handled at that point and what was done there. I would say that this situation is different from the Chiefs because there wasn't the entire team to witness what happened. And Romeo Crennel was there. I believe Scott Pioli was there. Yep. But really nobody else, right? I don't think there were any players that were there in that moment. So I think you can compartmentalize things differently. If you lose somebody in your life and you've got to go to work in the next couple of days, I think, dependent on the situation, you can do that. If you were there to witness it, that takes a completely different emotional and mental toll on you. And if you are the Bills and you're Tre'Davious White and others that were obviously just shook to the core by what they were witnessing last night, I think that does a different kind of job on you, so to speak, than hearing that somebody took their life in the parking lot without actually seeing it. I don't know if there were Chiefs players that witnessed that. I don't know if guys would be able to play the next day that were there to witness that. So it is a lot of newfound territory here. Unfortunately, it's something that we never want to see and have to talk about and go through. But unless Damar Hamlin turns for the better here within the next 24 to 48 hours, I have no idea what the hell the NFL is going to do. I don't think they can go back to the Bills and say, you're playing on Sunday. Like you said, maybe they kick it to Monday, maybe they kick it to Tuesday. I don't know what they do. But that's going to be interesting because obviously that affects the Patriots and, when the Patriots would play. So it's all, like I said, newfound territory. I just want to mention one more note before we move to the Dolphins and Patriots. There are more good people in this world than bad. And one example of that was the tremendous reaction and response by so many people across this country that found out about Damar Hamlin and the foundation that he had begun to help children in a toy drive. And his goal was to hit $2,500, I think it was. And as of this morning, the last time I checked, it was over $4 million. And people are just rushing to the GoFundMe page, donating money because that's all that they can do right now. That is showing the solidarity and support for this 24-year-old man who, by all accounts, by the way, is a very, very good dude and does a lot of good things. So look, I don't know him personally, but I do think it says an awful lot about people that they would quickly try to do whatever they could. $5, $10, $50. We've seen players, Lawrence Guy, I know, Brian Hoyer, several Patriots have donated money to this GoFundMe page. I think that says a lot about humankind. So sometimes we get wrapped up in Twitter and stuff in our polarizing world. This is just the latest reminder that there are a lot more people that do good than bad. And it was nice. It was a nice silver lining to see last night, people getting together and doing that. So, and also Bills and Bengals fans outside the hospital, having prayer circles for the young man. That's just a reminder that, there are a lot of good people. All right. Before we get to the Dolphins and the Patriots and what we saw, Greg, tell the people about Athletic Greens.
Yeah, I started taking AG1 6 months ago. I wanted to make sure I was getting all the vitamins and nutritional supplements I needed in one place. And I love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy, kind of has a mild tropical taste, a little minty, and I actually look forward to it each morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things. that you're looking for. I take it first thing in the morning. Now it's part of my routine, and I'd be lost without it. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Bedard. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Bedard to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right, before we get to Dolphins-Patriots, here is a quick update 2 minutes ago from the Bills via their Twitter. They just tweeted out, Damar Hamlin spent last night in the ICU. He remains there today in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. So that's the update. He was in ICU throughout the night. He is still in ICU, and he is currently in critical condition. That was from the Buffalo Bills 2 minutes ago. Dolphins-Patriots, Greg, let's take a look at it. Does this game in any way change your view about this team?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think it was more the same. I thought, and we'll get into this a little bit more. To me, this game, watching it on film, and just the full transparency with people, because I covered the Winter Classic yesterday. I haven't quite done my extensive film study. I've done the defense through the Duggar pick 6, and the offense. I took a quick look on film just to get a general feel of the game. But I came away, in my opinion, the story of that game was about the decisions that Mike McDaniel and Josh Boyer made, heading up the Dolphins offense and defense in that game. Yeah. I did not agree with their approach at all. I think they bungled that game. I thought McDaniel choked a bit in terms of how he came out and played that game. And it helped contribute it played right into the way the Patriots need to play, which is you're hoping for a couple scoring drives. They put together 3 drives. That's it. I mean, the opening one, the one to clinch the game, mad respect for them doing that. But that was it. And, defensively, they did fine, but that was not the usual Miami offense without Tua. And then they lose Teddy, who makes 2 starts this year and can't finish it either game. He was not good on film in this game, and I don't think a lot of it had to do with the Patriots. There wasn't much of a pass rush until the Patriots got the lead after the pick 6. So look, it's good that the Patriots won this game to, extend their season 1 week, but this does not change anything from this. I don't think this team is good. They're 8-8. It's not a good record. They're not a good team. And, they beat another backup and third stringer. And that's what they've done this year. Kudos to Kyle Duggar for coming up with the pick 6. Nice call by Steve Belichick. Bad read by Teddy Bridgewater. Good play by Kyle Duggar. Sensational return to get it into the end zone, which they probably needed because the offense probably would have kicked a field goal. But, kind of same old for this team, all the way around. And let me also toss in the special teams was horrible in this game.
Oh my God, they sucked. The special teams were terrible. Let me say, I will give credit to this defense because, for 6 quarters or so, they limited Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I won't count the last quarter and a half or whatever with Skylar Thompson. I'm just not going to do that. Third string quarterback, rookie. It is what it is. But you go back to game 1, and I know it was early in the season. I'm just not going to continue to give caveats and disclaimers for this defense. The point is they limited big plays from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle aside from the blown coverage and screw up on the angles or whatever at the end of the first half in week 1. They mostly shut those 2 guys down, which is something that teams have not done this year. So I do give them credit, and I give them even more credit because they had a couple of guys who literally they just met this week. And sign and put up on the team, and you're playing with 4 safeties out there, and you're really trying to put it together. I thought that spoke volumes of this defense. Frankly, I can say that, and I can also say, and I tweeted this, that I thought the Dolphins coaching staff was exposed on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I thought McDaniel was exposed, and I thought Boyer was exposed, especially McDaniel. When you're going, you have to get the football to Tyreek Hill, you have to get the football to Jalen Waddle. and, before the Bridgewater injury especially. So, yeah, I thought the Dolphins coaching staff had a bad day at the office. Quickly, I have another update here. This is about the NFL. Greg and I were just talking about the schedule and how this is going to work out. The NFL has released a statement. This was about 3-4 minutes ago. Here's what it says. The NFL continues to be in regular contact with the medical team caring for Damar Hamlin and the Bills and Bengals organizations and the PA. After speaking with both teams and NFL PA leadership, Roger Goodell informed the clubs today that the Bills-Bengals game will not be resumed this week. So as we talked about, that game will not resume this week. The NFL has made no decision regarding the possible resumption of the game at a later date. Sounds like Greg is probably right on as far as his thoughts about how they'll handle this game. And when you look at the league in its entirety, this is interesting to me, at least right now. Again, you still have plenty of time, but as of right now, the NFL says the league has not made any changes to the Week 18 regular season schedule. We will continue to provide additional information as it becomes available. So as of right now, no changes to the Week 18 schedule. Bills, Bengals will not resume at any point this week, and we'll have to wait and see as we move forward over the next day or two if there are any changes to that statement that the NFL just released. So that fills you in on that situation. All right, so offensively, Dolphins-wise, Greg, you put a note in here, and as I just mentioned, I thought the Dolphins coaching staff wasn't good, but you looking at the film didn't really understand what Mike McDaniel was doing.
No, not at all. And I do, but I just think it was wrong. It was very Patriots-like. It was very Matt Patricia-like, the decisions.
Oh, boy.
Basically, the Dolphins coached this game like they were a bunch of fraidy cats. I understand their offensive line stinks, and they were down to their third left tackle, their second right tackle. They brought Liam Eichenberg back at left guard, who was freaking horrible in this game. He was horrible before he got hurt. I can't believe they just inserted him back in the lineup. So I understand that Mike McDaniel was like, I got to protect our offensive line. But there's a couple of different ways to do it. I mean, he obviously thought that Matthew Judon and Josh Uche, he was afraid of them coming into this game. I understand that. I disagree. I wouldn't be that afraid of them, especially as long as you run a quick passing game offense. They're never going to get home. We've seen that in other games. The Patriots need deep drops, deep pass routes so that they can loop and pick and stuff like that. That's where they get a majority of their pressure. I thought that the Dolphins, way too many multiple running backs, multiple tight ends, condensed formations, they took away what their advantage. I mean, when they spread out the Patriots, especially early in this game when the game was in doubt before the pick six, more often than not, they gained yards. They just kept putting running backs and tight ends on the field and slugging it up the middle, not running east to west and using their speed and the Patriots' lack of speed against them. It was just, it looked like they were playing not to lose this game. And that was just a mistake. That's what the Patriots do. If I were them, I would have said, screw it. We're going to spread the Patriots the hell out, and we're just going to pick them apart. And look, Teddy, even with the approach that they took, Teddy Bridgewater left a lot of plays on the field. He did not play well in this game. He did not see it well. He missed guys open down the field, often checking it down when he had better options. I just thought the Dolphins completely played into what the Patriots like to do defensively, and that's why I can't give them a ton of credit in this game. And yes, I understand that the Patriots are beat up in the secondary, but the Dolphins are beat up on the offensive line. The Dolphins are also beat up in their secondary. I just thought that the defense's performance overall, while it was fine, it was more about the approach that the Dolphins took and their execution, especially at the quarterback position.
Patriots offense. I'm going to read this verbatim from you. I actually liked the Patriots offense, ... a little. There were times, it made me a little
a little frisky watching this offense. I mean, I liked going down the field. I mean, was it perfect all the time? Was Mac Jones perfect all the time? No. Did Josh Boyer, the moron, as we talked about last week, did he get over aggressive and he comes out playing? Nick, how do you play? All right, you have Keon Crossan, who's a special teams guy. You have the Kotu kid, who's an undrafted free agent. You're already without Byron Jones. You don't have Xavier Howard. You're down. You do have the safety, who's a good player, number 8. Yeah. The other safety isn't any good. And you decide, yeah, we're going to come out and pressure and go man to man all over the place on the first. Like, dude, what are you smoking? Like, and plus with the Patriots and how they don't know how to run routes against zone defense. Like, and that caused it. And this went on in this game too, where, Mac's looking for Tyquan Thornton at a certain point. Tyquan Thornton has his head down. Tyquan did make some plays in this game. Congratulations to him. And this was some improvement, but how does Mike McDaniel not tell Josh Boyer, look, we have nobody in the secondary. The Patriots are grenade offense. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot at some point. Make them go 12, 15 plays to score a touchdown. Like, I don't care how long they hold the ball. Like, instead, he's playing press man all over the place, and that makes it easier for the quarterback to see the game. It makes it easier for the receivers on the routes that they're going to run and all that stuff, just like, what the Dolphins did on offense, what the Dolphins did on defense, just funneled right into what the Patriots want to do. And I thought Mac made some big time throws in this game down the field, some of it against pressure. I thought overall he was more accurate than not. It wasn't perfect, but I will say overall there's still, and this is why playing Buffalo, whenever that happens, like, it's hard for me to sit here and say, oh, well, they have a really good chance. They could pull it off. The same stuff's going on film, Nick. The bad routes, the bad timing, all that stuff, which then causes Mac to hold the ball, and then he looks worse, and that's what a lot of people see, and they're like, oh, he's holding the ball, he's indecisive, he's this and that. It's where they are in offense. This is who they are, and it's just not consistent enough, but it was good to see them make some plays. I liked what I saw somewhat in this game.
I think all of us know at this point, like, this is like we're grading on a bell curve here. Like, this is all relatively speaking. When Greg says I liked some of the stuff a little bit offensively, I don't think he's saying, well, Matt Patricia is well on his way to being one of the great offensive minds in football. It's like we've seen this offense be so bad. It's like, well, there were a few things that you could pick and say that wasn't that bad. That's pretty much where we're at, getting ready for the final week of the season. All right, 3 up, 3 down, Greg. What do you got?
Okay, so I have Christian Barmore. I thought he was really impactful in this game. He was really the only guy to bring a consistent pass rush when he got the opportunity before the game and Skylar Thompson came into the game. After that, it was kind of a free-for-all. Everybody was getting pressure. That's what's disappointing about the offense this year, Nick, is like, the Patriots, like a lot of teams, the way they're constructed, not overly impressive on offense, and not overly impressive on defense. But, if you can make the score, if you can get a lead, and now the team has to throw every down, that plays into the defense. And that if the offense was better and giving them a lead at times, then the Patriots would have a couple more wins, just the way that they are built. So I thought Barmore did a really good job. Kyle Duggar with the pick 6. We're going to talk about him in the member question in a second. Let's go Tyquan Thornton with the third one. Again, it wasn't perfect from him, but it was an improvement. He was productive, and good job by the young fella.
For everybody keeping track at home, Greg just broke the curse rule, so he owes me $1. I had the same 3. Duggar, Barmore, Thornton, because, hey, he made some plays and it was nice to see. And, any signs of life to Thornton within this offense, I think, is a good thing. 3 down, Greg.
I am going to go number 1 down is the New England special teams.
Oh, my.
I mean, Pilardi was freaking horrible punting the ball. Nick Folk missed another extra point. You had the Schooler penalty which gave the Dolphins went on to score that drive. Just for people scoring at home, because I look at this, every week. New England in Football Outsiders weighted DVOA on special teams. They put more of an emphasis on the games later in the season. It's more how you're playing now. They have them rated 29th in the league. I could tell you, they were probably middle of the pack about 6 weeks ago. They are plummeting in the special teams ratings. And this goes to the whole coaching staff. I don't know how Cam Achord hangs on to his job. This is like, they are the bottom of the league. Again, they were last year. I know it's not all his fault, and some of it's the players, and they're dealing with replacement players and blah, blah, blah. But it's show business, baby, and they ain't getting the job done, and they are hurting this team at this point. Oh, and also let me toss in Devin McCourty. I did not think he played well in this game. He contributed he had the dropped interception. He gave up a touchdown there on the edge to Tyreek Hill. He should have been better there. And I will also say Ramondre Stevenson. He missed 2 big blitz pickups in this game. They weren't overly complicated. He whiffed. He's having a little bit of a rough go of it right now. And I don't think he's great in the passing game. He had another example. We talk about Mac Jones looking for guys like he wants to throw it, and Stevenson still has his head down and it leads to those passes like ahead of him, behind him. Whereas if he's turning with the right timing, Mac just tosses it to him. He's got a head of steam and goes on. It's just, that's completely off at this point.
Yeah. Joe Judge, special teams coordinator next year, please. Bill O'Brien, OC, quarterbacks coach. Matt Patricia, defensive consultant, whatever the hell else job Bill wants to give him to make him feel better about himself. That's where this coaching staff needs to go. Pilardi needs to be cut. You can't tell me that there's nobody out there that could punt better than this guy. I mean, I know it's the end of the season, but come on. I keep seeing net punts under 30 yards. Like, what the hell are we trying to do here? He's just brutal. He's brutal. And McCourty, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to try to be diplomatic here because Devin has been a great Patriot. I do not know him personally. I know, Greg, you probably know him much better than I do. Everybody I talk to cannot speak any higher of the McCourty twins, Jason and Devin. But if we're evaluating him on the field, he is well on the back nine. And as this season progresses, he looks like he's on hole 18. And I think he knows it. I think everybody knows it. He's a step and a half slow. And that's what happens. Guys 35, 36 years old. It's not hating on Devin. This is the natural progression of a pro athlete, unless you're Tom Brady or LeBron James, who continue to play at MVP levels in their late 30s and mid 40s. And I think this is the last, we'll see if Devin McCourty and again, appreciate everything he's done. He's been such a huge part of this team, but they need to get younger. Adrian Phillips is also, 31 years old. They need to get younger at safety, which leads us to the BSJ member question of the day. The $49.99 annual plan. No, $39.99. Hold on. $39.99, Nick. Get it right. The annual plan, bostonsportsjournal.com. Greg, you said there was some questions about Kyle Duggar. So let's jump into Duggar.
Yeah. So this is actually from Twitter, and I thought it was a good jumping off point with, what Duggar's done with, the interception return and 3 return touchdowns this year. Tim Hawkins says, Greg Bedard, I remember you saying at some point this season that your assessment of Duggar's potential had shifted from all pro to just good. What are your thoughts now? Anything change? The short answer is no. And just to refresh people, I'm just looking at a tweet I had in 2020, which would have been his rookie year, I think. And I tweeted, I haven't even finished the first half of the Patriots defensive film, and I've seen enough. Kyle Duggar should be on the field 24/7, and they don't need Patrick Chung back next year. And I said he should be the Patriots version of Jamal Adams in short order. I liked him. I didn't know anything about him in the draft process. I'm not a draftnik, but I watched his college film and his Senior Bowl film, and I was impressed. His talents are evident. I mean, he is. You stand next to him in the locker room. I mean, the dude is he's built to be a football player. Long arms, long legs, explosive as hell, can run, can jump, has, smarts, and we've seen that in recent weeks. But the short answer is no, nothing has changed since and about, I think, the middle of the way through this season, because this is year 3 for him. This is when it should all come together for him. And you could make the case with these 3 return touchdowns. One was Judon forced the fumble. He was there. He picked it up. He ran it in. The other one was, great play by him. Terrible play by Carr on that little flip out. That was just dumb by the quarterback. That shouldn't happen. And then this one, which was a really good call, execution by everybody, the inverted cover 2. He read it, caught it. Nice job. Awesome return. I will say this about him. He's making more big plays, but he also makes a lot of mistakes in every single game. Even in this game, he had a pass coverage that he completely left. He didn't get a drop deep enough, and it led to a 23-yard gain. The week before, we talked about it. There were 2 cover 2 where he's the middle linebacker and he blew the coverages. One of them where Irwin just dropped the ball. If Irwin catches that ball, the game's over, and it's because of Kyle Duggar. That stuff happens every single week. But I will say this, and I also said this to the once I thought more about it. I still don't think that the Patriots coaches understand what to do with Kyle Duggar. And it's very similar to Patrick Chung's first go-around here. They're not the same. Duggar is a much better athlete and has a much higher ceiling than Patrick Chung. Patrick Chung was just a good football player, occasionally made some plays. But his first time here, they kept playing him, in space as a safety. And he flamed out. They let him go. He signed with the Eagles in free agency. He flamed out in Philly and came back here sort of, hat in hand. And that's when they said, you know what? We're just going to put you near the line of scrimmage. You're going to be another linebacker. You're going to attack the run. You're going to cover man-to-man. You do that. And he took off. They need to do the same thing with Duggar. Yes, he made a play in space today. He made a game-changing and won the game for them. But that doesn't mean that's what he should do every week. So until they find out and they put him in position for him to do what he does best, and I know a lot of national people see these splash plays and are all like, oh, Kyle Duggar is this and Kyle Duggar is that. But if you watch him week in and week out and you watch the film, there are limitations. I think he could be still better than Jamal Adams, because Jamal Adams has been revealed just to be basically a run support linebacker as a safety. Duggar still has the potential to do more. I think it's just on the coaches, if he continues to be here at the end of his contract, if they sign him to a contract extension, to figure out a way to use him as sort of a unique weapon, because I think he's a unique talent. They've never really had a guy like this. And as soon as they figure that out, then he can go to all-pro status. But for now, I just think that Kyle Duggar is a good player who makes some splash plays.
There you have it. His name is Greg. I am Nick. It's the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles, brought to you by Athletic Greens. We're going to see where all this goes. Fluid situation with the Bills-Patriots game, obviously. Greg is showing everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, go Rutgers. Until next time.
Beat number 1 Purdue last night, baby. Again, second straight year. On the road.
There you go. Oh, boy.
Boiler up.
Until next time, everybody, be well and Happy New Year.